Combine 2022. Seize the opportunity and rise above. Let's go.
Time to work like you want it. Let the hard work define you. All that hustle designed you. Grab it and own it. Use the heart that's inside you. You your only opponent. This for the family though. Biggest fans of your life, they've been right there cheer you on. This is preparation in its rawest form. NFL Combine where stars are born. Look, so spark up the fire that's under you. Tunnel vision like oh what's in front of you. Let your actions describe what you come to do. This is NFL Combine 22.
Indianapolis, Indiana, Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts, and we are awfully excited to be here in unseasonably warm weather in the 317, the Crossroads of America, for the NFL Scouting Combine in 2022. We are back in business. The tight ends are going to get us started. We will get to what is an impressive group of players that has become a pivotal position in the league. And joining me, Matt Money Smith to my left, Bucky Brooks, a man who did it from the scouting department of the Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks, and Lance Zierlein, who has hand cramps from writing all those bios, like 600 of them, as we get ready for the draft about 2 months away. Gentlemen, great to see you back in Indianapolis, and once again on the field inside Lucas Oil Stadium.
Hey, look, this is a lot of fun. This is the main event. It's what we talk about, having an opportunity to see the guys that we watched on tape do their deal in drills.
Listen, for people who try to mock the Combine and say it doesn't really matter, it's the underwear Olympics, I mean, it's really so much more than that. It really is. And it's also not just how you perform, but it's how you comport yourself, what kind of presence you have on the field. It's a really big deal. And general managers, I heard Scott Pioli say this before we came on. He said he likes watching how guys handle themselves when they're not even throwing, when they're not even making catches. He likes to see their presence on the field.
Well, Lance, you used the first comport, and It's a perfect transition into that exact topic, because it was something off the field. It was in a back room where a sheet of paper was laid out, a ruler, signaling how big are your hands. And for Kenny Pickett, 8.5 inches was the measurement, and he was asked about it even prior to that measurement yesterday in his press conference, and seemed a bit perturbed by the line of questioning.
There's a lot of questions and concerns with your hand size. Do you read much into that?
No, I mean, it is what it is. I think the media runs with it a little more than, I'd say NFL teams do. There really wasn't much talk about that in all the formal interviews and the informal interviews that I've had so far this week. So it is what it is.
Well, is what it is for Kenny, but what about for you, Bucky, Lance? Is this an issue for Kenny Pickett?
Well, it's an issue if someone puts fumbles and those things on tape that kind of equate to the hand size being an issue. And 30 career fumbles, 12 of those have lost. We saw him at the Senior Bowl where he had an issue in inclement weather. So, yeah, it becomes a bigger concern for scouts when he measures in with little hands.
Yeah, and I think it is something that you want to keep an eye on, because I went through every single year and tracked the fumbles. And this year he had less fumbles than he has in the past. But it is one of those things that you want to see, because as Bucky mentioned, we watched Wednesday at the Senior Bowl when it was a consistent barrage of not rain, but there was kind of a misty drizzle in the air, and he really did struggle, and that's with gloves on. So I think it is something that you have to keep an eye on. You see him right here, weather's just fine. He's got the dual glove look on, a la David Carr used to rock that from time to time, but 30 fumbles, 12 loss. What if it's 30 fumbles and 19 loss? That's a huge deal. Right. So I think it is a big deal for some teams.
And look, if he is drafted, if he becomes a starter, you get a look here, they'll be the smallest hands on any starting quarterback in the NFL. I know a lot of people like to dismiss the conversation, but it did come up for Jared Goff. He ended up being the #1 overall pick, and we kind of heard in that conversation that 9 inches was the floor. But you certainly see here with Eli Manning, 1-2 Super Bowls, just barely over 9 inches. But, then you kind of have the Brandon Allen situation out of Arkansas. He was sub 9 inches, a reason why he tumbled down a lot of draft boards. And we're going to get to a match, perhaps for Kenny Pickett in just a moment. So let's put a pin in this And let's advance the conversation because he's not the only quarterback that's going to be doing his stuff behind us here today. It is a decent class, so let's focus here. Here's your first-round quarterbacks in the mock drafts. Kenny Pickett, first off the board for you, Bucky. At 6 to the Panthers. Lance, you have him at number 11 to the Washington Commanders. Got to get used to that. But let's focus on the next guy on that list, and that's Matt Corral coming out of Long Beach Poly.
Yeah, I really like Matt Corral. I actually have him as my highest-rated quarterback. I'm just relying on the tape. I'm relying on, I think, the temperament. He really matured as a quarterback. When you look at his tape from last year to this year, he got a lot better. He really read the defenses better. He had much better decision-making. He had a much better command. Jeff Levy, his offensive coordinator over there, I think he really felt comfortable with him as a play caller. And he's a guy that doesn't get enough. You see that nice, easy, smooth, effortless release. I don't think he gets enough credit for his talent as a passer. It really comes out quickly. It comes out effortlessly. And he's got a tight spiral. And he's got more juice than you think he does as a velocity driver.
He absolutely has more juice than people give him credit for. I would say that his ability to play as a quick rhythm passer does have some of that Drew Brees-ish nature to it. And when you think about a guy who is a gunslinger, but someone who is a good decision maker while towing the line, that is Matt Corral, and because of that, there will be plenty of offensive coordinators that are pushing to make Matt Corral their quarterback of the future.
Yeah, you talk about adjusted completion percentage, sniffing 80%. That starts that Drew Brees conversation. And like you said, Lance, a lot more juice when you kind of dig into Matt Corral than maybe a lot of people are giving him credit for. Not going to see much from him because of the ankle injury that is not completely healed, but he says it will be fine in time for pro day, so certainly something to keep an eye on. All right. To the next name on the list, and man, there is a lot of sizzle around Malik Willis here in Indianapolis. Word is super impressive in the interview portion when he was checking in with teams.
Yeah, very impressive. And what I like most about Malik is when we think about the quarterbacks, the young quarterbacks of late that have popped, most of them have had outstanding tools. Well, this is a toolbox. This guy's toolbox is full. A-plus arm talent, A-plus athleticism, playmaking ability. We've seen it. When I talked to a coach last night, he said, hey, man, if this guy figures it out in terms of understanding the game, he's a superstar at the next level.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it real here. I thought the tape was bad this year for Malik Willis, but this is the problem. You have to grade the flashes for some players.
What do you mean by the tape was bad?
The decision making, he just really struggled the second half of the year. He had 3 different games where he had 3 interceptions. He just didn't have a great feel, and I went deeper, and I went and talked to some people close to Malik and found out a little bit about how he was reading defenses and what was going on at Liberty. And I frankly think you see throws like this, that's ridiculous. That's why you have to grade the flashes. I learned something from Justin Herbert. I was a little down on some of the inconsistencies of his tape, but what I learned is grade the flashes. Everything Herbert became was all on tape. And Bucky mentioned toolbox. The toolbox for Malik Willis is completely full. And when you have a guy who can run like he does, even when he's not passing well, he's going to win games. And when he is passing well, look out, because his arm talent to me is like Jay Cutler. And Jay had some serious arm talent coming out. So the tools are all there. He's a dual-threat quarterback, which is huge in the league right now. And I just think you have to grade the flashes with Malik and worry less about, the tape.
What's the kind of help us out? What's the level of runability? Are we talking like Justin Herbert, big guy runability? Are we talking Lamar Jackson? Like, what kind of athlete is he when he decides to tuck it and take off?
Look, man, I think he's a more dynamic athlete than Jalen Hurts, and we saw how many yards that Jalen Hurts was able to run for. When you look at his from waist down, I mean, he is thick. He runs through contact. He has all of that. And because he's so athletic and dynamic, people have told me that, look, don't worry about some of the things that you may worry about when it comes to, does he understand the offense? Does he understand what he's looking at? His athleticism will buy him enough time where he can kind of catch up as a guy who understands the game and processes.
All right, let's talk about accomplishments and winning. You'd always hear that about Eli Manning. Look, guy just knows how to win with the Giants. Well, the stats are the stats. Guy's got 2 Super Bowls. How about, and here's, by the way, you see this, just popped up. Malik Willis saw a homeless guy out on the street, and this guy here, Ryan, tweeted out Malik pulling out some of his free gear that he decided to hand over to the guy to try to help him out. So just speaking to
Love to see it.
Malik's character, again, when he doesn't know a camera's on him, just doing it to be a good guy. So happy we could share that with you again, the stuff that you talk about, the intangibles, the leadership qualities, and how important those are to that particular position. And that brings us to Desmond Ritter.
Yeah.
Lance, and I mean, someone who guided, Cincinnati to be the first ever non-Power 5 squad in the college football playoff.
Well, I think you judge quarterbacks differently depending on the types of quarterbacks they are. And when I'm looking at Desmond Ritter, this is an intangibles guy. That's one of the things that I really love about him. 4-year starter, 4-year winner. A lot of wins. What you see from Desmond Ritter is a guy who is kind of the same quarterback from year 1 to year 2, but then showed growth in year 3 and showed incredible growth in year 4. The production was off the charts. He plays with great command on the field. His mechanics are really, really excellent. Always throwing on platform. A lot of quarterbacks like to default to off-platform throws for no reason at all. He's always getting to his platform, which speaks to his ability, I think, to project as a more accurate quarterback than he was at times in college. I think that's still one thing you want to see, is you want to see him throw with a little better placement. But the mental makeup, my comp on him is Alex Smith, because he is also a mobile guy outside of the pocket as well. And Alex Smith is a guy you could win with, and you could win at a high level with, and I think that's the same type of quarterback we're looking at with Desmond Ritter.
So here's the funny thing about Desmond Ritter. I feel like he's been underrated in terms of people haven't talked about him. The buzz has been all about Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral, and then of late Malik Willis. But we've never really talked about this guy, and this guy's won at a major level. When we judge quarterbacks, yeah, we're talking about the tools and all that other stuff, but at the end of the day, your quarterback has to be able to get the team to the winner's circle. There are few that have done it as well as Desmond Ritter.
All right, well, Bucky, you got your top 5s out. They're available at NFL.com/Brooks, and you get a look at your top 5. There they are: Kenny Pickett, Corral, Willis, Sam Howell, who's dealing with some injuries himself, and that, of course, has been something that's kind of followed him here, his career, and Desmond Ritter there at number 5. So what do you say we play a little matchmaker?
Okay, let's do that.
Where are these individuals going to ply their trade? So, Buck, I'm going to have you start. Where do you see Kenny Pickett landing?
Oh, Kenny Pickett will have one of those new shiny uniforms for the Washington Commanders, because when I think about Ron Rivera and Scott Turner, offensive coordinator, they want a guy that is experienced, because with experience brings expertise. His ability to play for a long time at Pitt should allow him to be a plug-and-play starter at the next level.
Lance?
I like him with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as a matter of fact. I like him going all the way
staying in Pitt
to number 20, or even moving up a little bit. And I like that. I like the fact that Pittsburgh's been able to watch his growth as a person, as a quarterback, so they've seen it in their own backyard. But I think that what they want to do with Najee Harris in terms of the running game, I think it's a good natural fit for the progression of Kenny Pickett. One of the biggest jumps we've ever seen from year 3 to year 4, and I think that speaks to his potential growth on the pro level.
All right, how about Matt Corral?
Hey, look, I talked about it. I said he reminds me a little bit of Drew Brees, the way that he is the gunslinger, but very accurate and a nice decision maker. So I'm going to give him the New Orleans Saints, because this will be the nice replacement if they don't keep Jameis Winston and they're not going to allow Taysom Hill to be the quarterback. Matt Corral will be a nice fit.
Cosign. Bucky said it perfectly. And Pete Carmichael, they rehired. They kept him there, the offensive coordinator. He was in San Diego with Drew Brees. Then he went over to New Orleans with Drew Brees, and I think they're going to see a lot of Drew Brees and Matt Corral. The release quickness, the competitive edge that he has. I think it's a really good fit in New Orleans.
All right, let's go to that high ceiling of Malik Willis. Where's he go, Buck?
Okay, so I would say keep an eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I think it'd be a nice fit there, kind of like that Cordell Stewart thing they had going. But let's go to Detroit. Let's say that because Jared Goff is in place, they now can take Malik Willis as a red shirt, let him kind of learn behind the scenes, much like Patrick Mahomes and some other quarterbacks have done, and then hand him the keys to the kingdom and let him unleash all that athleticism on the NFC North.
Ron Rivera got to a Super Bowl with a dual-threat quarterback who was very dynamic in Cam Newton. I like Washington Commanders here. And, let's also remember that Scott Turner, the offense coordinator in 17-18, was the quarterback's coach for Cam Newton as well. So he had a background with that type of quarterback. I think this is a great fit at number 11.
All right, we haven't talked a lot about him, but what about Sam Howell out of North Carolina, Buck? You got a little vested interest there in what's happening with Sam Howell, your alma mater?
I mean, a vested interest because the guy decided that I inspired him so much that he wore my number. And so I want to see this guy have a tremendous amount of success. And so let's go with the Detroit Lions for Sam Howell. When I think about Sam Howell and what he's been able to do, he's a nice guy. Look, if you don't want to spend a first-round pick, second rounder comes in, he's your long-term developmental playing quarterback. I think he'd be a great fit in Detroit.
I thought he was going to get the Bucky bump into the first, but as it stands, I'm going to go Atlanta in the second round as well. And I think when you look at what Atlanta can do now, eventually getting away from Matt Ryan, maybe going to a more college-centric type of offense with Kyle Pitts there, who's a hybrid player. Want to have an offensive coordinator calling plays. It's a hybrid play calling with a hybrid player in Sam Howell, who, by the way, ran great last year. He almost got to 1,000 yards. Like, he was really talented as a runner last year.
Yeah, so you sleeping on him.
He's a big, thick
You're
guy,
sleeping on him. You're sleeping on number 7.
You mentioned underrated when we were talking about Desmond Ritter a little bit earlier. So what round does Desmond end up going in, and where's he go?
Okay, let's go second round, and let's go to the Denver Broncos. If Nathaniel Hackett can get the Jacksonville Jaguars to the AFC Championship game with Blake Bortles, he absolutely can make things happen with Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter is a much better player and prospect in my estimation than Blake Bortles was coming in, so I'm going to go with him in Denver.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, but I think they may have to trade up in the second round to get their hands on Desmond Ritter. And who knows, Desmond today may show out and go even higher. But I think what we're looking for with Desmond Ritter in Minnesota is you have Kevin O'Connell, you have a new regime, so new GM, new head coach, you get a new quarterback, you let Kirk Cousins play it out this year, and you groom Desmond Ritter to be the next signal caller in an offense that already has plenty of weapons.
Pretty good start, Bucky, Lance, and for those of you that cannot see, this is very exciting for us. We have had fans inside Lucas Oil Stadium in previous years, but not like this. We got fans right here in the lower section that are going to be able to watch everything that's going to happen on this field here today. When we return, again, it's not just the tight ends and the quarterbacks, but a compelling wide receiver group that is going to be doing their business here tonight in prime time, starting at 4 p.m. on NFL Network. Here's a look at Bucky's top 5.
Wilson for a touchdown, Garrett Wilson. He's been in the end zone a lot tonight.
For London, who's got it, and a touchdown.
Just give this guy a chance, he will make the play.
Chris Olave got it. Another touchdown in the end zone, caught. Touchdown. They're making it look easy.
Jameson Williams, goodbye.
For the end zone and wide open, Jameson Williams.
Nobody's going to catch Jameson Williams. Touchdown, Alabama.
Fresh, Penn State, and now we start the Heisman campaign. He ballin', you can catch him in the end zone, Sauce
And a big thank you to Matty Fresh putting that together for our guy Jahan Dotson, going to be out here today. And Bucky, as we start digging into this wide receiver group, here is your top 5. You see him clocking in there at number 4. Walk us through how Dotson made his way into your top 5 when you look at a tape.
Okay, Money, I know you are a guy that loves Vegas because you like going to see the magic acts. Jahan Dotson is a magician because when I look at the tape, he makes DBs disappear. When we turn on the tape, you're going to see it. He's one of the best route runners that I've seen, and it starts with his ability to understand exactly where he is. Here we see him coming inside. Great hands, excellent ball skills. Double moves are his thing. That's what he does over and over again. You see him just winning on double moves, finding his way to the paint. But it's more than that. It's his ability to run after the catch. He's a yak guy, yards after catch. He finds a way to consistently do it. But, man, one-on-one, this is a guy that you want to have because he can win the contested balls. He is a true number 1 receiver. I'm excited to see what he's able to do at the next level. Oh, that's right there for you, Money.
There we go.
Making him disappear.
Listen, it's a conversation that carried over off the air, onto the air, us talking about yak. We're always talking about it. Lance, let's get into a player comp.
Let's do that. Let's go Emmanuel Sanders as my player comp. And here's the reason why. I thought this was kind of an easy one for me because both of these guys can work inside or outside. You need an outside receiver, I got you. You need somebody from the slot, I got you. You need somebody to work all 3 levels, deep, intermediate, short, I got you. And that's what Emmanuel Sanders can do. And that's the same thing you see with Jahan Dotson. Similar body types, similar playing styles, similar hands, although I think Dotson is just really, really special in terms of when the ball goes up. So I think if you're looking for a player who can play inside or outside and then stretch the field vertically or, horizontally, that's your guy. And I think that's a good comp for Emmanuel Sanders. And that's definitely a compliment because Emmanuel Sanders is one of the really good wide receivers in the league for a long time.
No, look, we're not here all alone. The NFL Scouting Combine is here, but there's like a heavy machinery convention. I think there's an insurance convention where we're staying at the Hyatt, and a lot of people walking around with name tags. So we take our motivation from them. And this is a hello, my name is, when it comes to these wide receivers, to help people kind of understand and digest what it is that you see when you watch them playing. So, Bucky, get us started. Drake London.
Oh, Drake London. This is a guy that you have to fall in love with. If you like big body guys who are supersized, that is Drake London. Former basketball player doing his time at USC, and he utilizes all of those skills to make it happen. He can win the 50-50 balls. He can post up and box out down in the red zone. Has sneaky speed that allows him to get over the top. But what I see is a guy who is going to be a problem at the next level with his size.
Well, I mean, you're basically looking at a tight end. I mean, his ability to go with the high point is ridiculous. Jump balls, fades, you just don't have a chance. His hands are so strong, and he's so tall and long that the jump balls are his. It's an 80-20. It's not a 50-50, Buck. You miscalculated. The math is 80-20 on that because that's how it tilts in his favor.
Oh, that poor guy. And I love those old – is that the old Cal uniform, right? That I think that game was. And they lost that game. However, let's get to our next guy, Buck. Hello, my name is Jameson Williams.
Oh, Jameson Williams. Man, if not for the injury, we might have a competition in terms of which guy deserves to be number 1. Jameson Williams really put on a show during his time at Alabama. And to think that he was stuck behind all those guys at Ohio State, he goes to Alabama and emerges as the number 1. Big-time playmaker, speed to burn. Oh, Money, he's coming. I've seen the workout videos. He's beginning to get back, coming off that ACL injury. I do not expect this guy to skip a beat. He is a talented big play specialist, one of the reasons why I'm in love with this game.
Look, he's one of these guys who he's kind of a linear wide receiver, but he's got that Alabama route running that we're used to seeing. I mean, you saw him break one off right there. But he's fast and he's got build-up speed.
Oh, man.
He's a double nightmare for cornerbacks because once he's built up and once the legs unlock and he's rolling, it's an absolute wrap. So when he gets fully healthy, if you get an accurate deep ball quarterback paired with him, there's going to be some monster production possible.
I think of all the traits elite wide receivers have, he possesses my favorite, and that is the second he catches it, when you watch him pull away from the corner, that next gear that he's got is so fun to watch. Now, Garrett Wilson, the top wide receiver on a lot of boards when it comes to the scouts that we're mingling with, was asked an interesting question that perhaps the people watching were not aware of, and that is about one of his high school teammates when they were both back there at Lake Travis High School. Here we go. Check this out.
Garrett, coming from Lake Travis, do you have any relationship with Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, for sure. Baker's my guy. He was always a little older than me, and he would come back and coach 7-on-7. And during the quarantine, we actually threw together a couple times. And so I know that Baker's a great player, and we have a good relationship.
So they share the alma mater. Obviously, they didn't go there together, or else Garrett Wilson would be like a triple red shirt. Which, you know what? It happens in high school these days. But my name is Garrett Wilson. What do we got?
Purity. Just a pure playmaker on the outside. He's a number one receiver. And the reason why he's a number one receiver, because in this league, if you're able to run routes and make plays, intermediate and in the deep game, it forces people to have to use double coverage. He commands a double team because he is a nightmare to defend on the perimeter. And, oh, by the way, I think he's going to be very productive because he can find a way to get it done in a variety of different ways.
I think the one thing we have to keep an eye on is one of the things on tape is he had a little bit of trouble getting off press, and he didn't see a whole lot of it at Ohio State. You never do. But one of the things that stood out is his hang time. We talked about Drake London winning balls in the air. I mean, this guy is a fantastic ball in the air player. He can track it, and then once it goes to the jump ball, I mean, he can sky and really control his body in midair, and that's one of the skills you love to see. So Garrett Wilson, really talented player, representing the state of Texas. So
there you go.
He's got to put on for the state.
And and it's a good thing you acknowledge that, Lance, because God knows high school players from Texas rarely get any run.
Oh, the California guys saying that.
Well, listen,
I mean,
they're the second,
that's
maybe
where
it's the second or third best market for.
That's where the ball has come from.
Texas,
where?
That's true.
Cali.
Exactly.
Cali, skill guy.
Come in here with your Texas
I'm
trash.
talking about that Texas stuff.
Let's go Treylon Burks.
Oh, look, really good player. When you think about it, man, we talk about guys that are able to consistently get open. He's one of those guys. Burks is able to get open because he's an imposing figure on the outside. He just big bodies you. He uses his body. He has great instincts once he gets the ball in his hands. And so when we think about the way the game is trending, if you can find a way to create mismatches, and some of that is done by having sheer size advantages, his superior physical traits will allow him to have a lot of success on the perimeter.
Easiest comp in all the film study I did. I just put A.J. Brown on him and just moved along. It didn't take long. Big, strong, powerful, did a lot of work from the slot like A.J. used to do coming out of college. And then, of course, that really translated into the pros. Physicality at the top of the route, strength in his hands, and really just a commanding presence with the ball in his hands. When A.J. Brown has the ball, you are going to get a running back's demeanor with the ball in his hands. But I think being physical through the route is something that Treylon Burks is very, very good at as well. You see right here, get off me. Get off me.
Throw it up.
And then go up and go get it. So he gives you that same physicality.
So keep it going, Lance. Let's start with you on Chris Olave.
Yeah, so Chris Olave to me was probably the smoothest wide receiver that I studied in this draft. And one of the things that really stands out is he's effortless with his press release. He's effortless in and out of breaks. He has unbelievable three-level speed. He's going to run into 4.3s. I'm guessing right around the 4.35 mark today. And I think he's got really, really good hands as well. I think he gets slept on a little bit, and I'm not really sure why. When Garrett Wilson's getting all the play, I thought on tape Olave is actually the better wide receiver, the more polished wide receiver, I should say. The difference is he's lighter and doesn't play as strong. And Bucky, I think that's a little bit of a concern on the next level when it comes to contested catches.
It is a concern, but I know why you like Olave, because this guy's a point scorer like your guy, James Harden.
That's right.
Anytime they throw it in his direction, he is going to put it in the paint, and there's a value for those who can put it in the paint. This guy scores touchdowns. You got to love that if you're an evaluator.
You know my favorite thing about Olave is? Remember that pro day for Dwayne Haskins when everyone's like, whatever with this guy. How about a freshman receiver, Olave? He was putting on a show at that pro day. And here we are, finally ready for him to make his way to the league. Lance, let's move to Boise State's Khalil Shakir. Jeez, spaced on it.
Man, was he fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I turned the tape on here, and I'm like, I saw a little bit of Cooper Kupp here. I saw a little bit of Hunter Renfrow. What you see is he's not going to impress you necessarily with the size. He's not going to play really fast, but what he does is he plays at 80 miles an hour from the beginning of the snap to the end of the snap. They got the ball in his hands in every way possible. Jet sweeps, shallow crossers, hitches. He plays unbelievably determined football, and there's a sense about Khalil Shakir that he is going to make it happen. He's going to will himself to victory over the guy across from him.
Production. When you're looking at these guys, and now we're talking about guys in the second round, possibly. Khalil Shakir gives you the opportunity to have a guy that can develop. We've seen guys come from that, like a Devontae Adams, like an A.J. Brown, that have been able to kind of fall under the radar, but they get to the National Football League and they have success. He has intriguing tools that could enable him to be an outstanding player at the next level.
All right, final one, and this is a Lance Zierlein special, Justin Ross.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Justin because I think this is an evaluator's conundrum. So his 2019 tape, phenomenal. The year they played Joe Burrow and LSU in the national championship game. Injury, he missed the whole year. 2021, he comes back. Tape didn't look very good. I kind of wrote him off as a 5.9. Back up, and that was that. And I talked to Dabo Swinney at the Senior Bowl on the sideline. He goes, oh, no. He had a fifth metatarsal injury that he played through the whole year, did everything he could. The kid wouldn't come off the field. He played as long as he could until it completely broke. He said, I want to play until it breaks. And so you have to go back, Bucky, and you have to say, well, wait a minute now. How much do I even consider 2021 tape, and how much do I go back to 2 years ago?
Yeah, look, I think the one thing that helps him is there are a lot of people that were sleeping on T. Higgins when he entered the league. And they don't have necessarily similar games, but sometimes you naturally scout the helmet. This is a long, big, physical wide receiver with some intriguing traits. And because of that, that gives him an opportunity to maybe be drafted sooner than we expect.
But how soon? Here we get a look, Lance, at your mock draft. Wide receivers only that we're going to see go in the first round. So first one off the board, Treylon Burks, followed by Drake London, that 80-20 guy you were talking about, the smooth moves of Chris Olave, and then Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. So 5 receivers in the first round, and perhaps we can get some movement in that 5 for your next mock draft, depending on how things work out here today with the drills. Wide receiver drill that you would want to focus on the most, or you're the most interested in?
Well, I'm most interested in the Gauntlet Drill. And, Money, I'm going to be selfish when I talk about this because this is the drill where you may see someone get bonked. Because if you're not quick with your head movement, your eyes, and your hands, it can be tough for you. As an evaluator, what you want to see is how natural are the guys when it comes to catching the ball, because guys that are natural pass catchers, they don't have an issue making the quick movements to see where the ball is coming from side to side. But if you're slow, watch out. You could get a black eye.
Yeah, the guys who catch it naturally and smoothly, you don't remember them as much as the ones who get beat up. The guys who get beat up by the football, that doesn't go away. And if you go back and you go look at the tape, like, let me see, did I see some of this? Ooh, wow. Maybe those drops really were something. So this is one of those things where it is, I think it's an identifier, but it's also a confirmer.
You know what I remember?
What you saw.
I remember Steve Smith yelling at that dude. Who was that dude? Jackson, right? For throwing the ball too hard.
Hey, who now playing tight end?
Exactly right.
Who's now playing tight end?
Exactly
Steve Smith was right.
Right in the middle of the drill, Steve Smith walked out and was like, hey, man. What are you doing over here? What are you doing? You're killing these guys out here.
Too.
Exactly. Oh, it was wonderful. Those are the kind of things that happen at the Combine, the unscripted moments you get excited about. By the way, be sure to check out NFL.com/Jeremiah. See the article that DJ posted about which players he believes are going to run the fastest 40s. Danny Gray, right here. Sub 4.3 perhaps coming. So today's the day, obviously, with these wide receivers, and, of course, with the defensive backs. Which player will have the fastest 40, and here is the history. We were here sitting right on the field when John Ross posted that 4.22, and of course Marquise Goodwin, Olympic level sprinter, the 4.27. So will we see a sub 4.3 runner this year?
I'm gonna say no, because it's uncommon for someone to run that fast. I'm gonna say no. Maybe Lance has some inside information. It's just hard for these guys to run fast here. Hard on the surf. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bright spotlight. It is really hard to run in the 4.2s.
It's ridiculous.
4.3s is ridiculously fast. 4.2s, I'm going to say no also, but the guy to keep your eye on, Danny Gray, but also Kalen Barnes was a 10.2940 guy in college as a sprinter. That's from Baylor. That's legitimate speed, and his teammate Tyquan Thornton, also from Baylor. Baylor had some speed coming out of Miami, Florida high school. He ran about a 10.5 100 meters. So we've got, and Tariq Woolen is a track guy too. So there are some track guys out here. They're going to get into the 4.3s. The 4.2s, that's serious.
The Italian sports cars, everything's got to be just perfect for them to run, and maybe sometimes they break down a little bit too often is what you got to be worried about. Maybe we'll have a wide receiver from Mississippi State run sub 4.3s if he tells any of our colleagues that he's going to do that. But it is the tight end group that's going to get us started at 4 p.m. You'll see it all on NFL Network with DJ and Rich Eisen. When we come back, we're going to dig into those tight ends. We know how important that position has become. Just check out the Super Bowl, the AFC and NFC Championship games. So we'll dig in next with Bucky and Lance on NFL Scouting Combine today.
This kid, Kittle, you see Kittle here from Iowa?
Yeah, that was pretty quick there. That was good.
And if you line them all up and say who's the best blocker in this group, he might be the guy. He's helped himself here because he was hurt a lot of this season. I don't think we got to see the true George Kittle this year.
Kittle had an 11-foot broad jump.
Ran routes with ease and precision.
We're seeing a lot of athleticism as advertised on display.
All right, we're back inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Fans just on the other side of the camera from where we sit. Awfully excited to get this thing rolling at 4 p.m. And the tight ends are going to get us started, Bucky. So it's not just the 40s. There's a lot of stuff, obviously, that's happening when these guys roll into Indianapolis. The interviews, the measurements, the medicals. But walk us through a drill that you get excited, that scouts are excited to see, that actually can tell them something when it comes to evaluating these players.
The tight end position is so unique because the tight end is a hybrid position, meaning tight ends, the great ones, are half offensive tackle, half wide receiver. And the best in the business is George Kittle. This guy's an all-pro not because of what he does as a receiver, but because of the way he moves people off the ball. And when you go to the tape and you watch him, he moves defenders off the line of scrimmage. One of the reasons why the 49ers running game is so dangerous is because this guy dominates the edges. He runs them off, he finishes blocks, he moves people, he throws them out the club. Whatever you want to see, he's able to do it. And we're going to see at the end of this clip, Money, it's kind of like one of those things that no one wants to put on tape. You don't want to get dump cake
no.
like George Kittle does.
That's why we wouldn't show it. That's why we wouldn't show it.
That's why we want to see these drills where these guys can explode into people.
All right, so we got blocking. What else are we looking at, Lance?
I like the square and drill. I think, we always talk about, people make fun of you. Oh, you guys, all you care about is hips. Yeah, I care about hips. You got to be able to bend. Let's watch Dawson Knox. First of all, it's the drive phase, right? Drive, sink the hips, and then how quickly can you get out of your breaks. And so this is a very important drill because this is something that shows your ability to stay low and drive in the drive phase, sink the hips at the top, and right here you're going to see a little redirect from the Texans, sink the hips, turn, and then find the football quickly and get up the field. So what this allows evaluators to do in this drill is they want to see how quickly you can get up the field off the release, sink the hips, and break quickly, break down, and then accelerate out of your cuts. And you see right here, hey, look, it looks fine on the field money, but in real games you got people bouncing you around, and you see Dawson Knox is a big, strong guy and athletic. He tested great out here. Who can handle the physicality and the athletic portion of being a tight end.
All right, let's get out of generalities and get to some specifics. Bucky, here we go. Your top fives, and these are all available at NFL.com/Brooks. In order, these are your top. Let's skip over number one and Weidermeyer here to start, and let's focus on Trey Mcbride because a lot of heat on him coming out of Colorado State.
A lot of heat on Trey McBride, and deservedly so. This is a talented pass catcher, a guy. As we think about the tight end position and what you need to be able to do is you want a tight end that can control the middle of the field. One of the things that I love about McBride when you see it is the adjustments. He easily makes plays on the ball. He can track it. He can catch it. No matter where it is, he's able to bring it in. That expands the strike zone. Here we talk about the physicality, the toughness, strong. Defender's trying to run through his body, but he's like, man, come on, man, he's just a little guy. I'm too big for those things. We saw it over and over again. The way that he played through contact at the Senior Bowl was very impressive, and then he's able to also translate it and do it in the blocking phase. You have to be able to do that because the great tight ends, not only do they do it in the passing game, but they're effective guys in the running game. He's one of the best.
Money, you're a different kind of guy. You appreciate the stories,
I am
right?
a different kind of guy.
You appreciate the stories.
I hear that all the time.
And Trey Mcbride is a great story. Trey Mcbride was a guy who played basketball and played baseball. You can see him dunk there. He was a 5. He was a big man.
Oh,
6'3" big man. He's the all-time. He was yoked in high school too. All-time
ripping
leading
that rim
scorer.
off the backboard there.
Yeah, do not come up here after this. Baseball, all-time leading home run hitter, 23 home runs. He hit 600 plus his senior year of high school with an OPS of 1,600. Now, the one weakness I did find, because I like to go deep, is if you want a guy who can hit home runs, that's your guy. A guy who can get on base, that's your guy. If you want a guy who can get dunk on people, that's your guy. If you want a guy who can shoot free throws, not your guy. He shot less than 60%. He never got any better.
60%? That's not that bad. I mean, for a big guy,
less than 60%.
Money. When you're a big man and you're
physical. McBride at the end of the games.
Not good enough.
Busy cleaning out underneath the rim.
I found a weakness.
Points.
Yeah, got to take him off the
60.
floor.
And you know what? He's probably 59.9. That's not cool.
It is actually just under 60.
Let's go talk about heat. I don't know if anyone has got more heat between, I'd say, like the last 6 weeks than Greg Dolce out of UCLA. Really feels like he's climbing up boards.
He is climbing up boards, and rightfully so. This is a guy, ex-walk-on, who has really become a big-time player for the UCLA Bruins. Having a chance to watch him in high school. I watched this kid at St. Francis High School. Oh, big body dude, kind of duck foot, doesn't look like anything, but then you watch him on tape. He finds a way to consistently get open. There you see him against the arch rival, who they absolutely beat to sleep. He's getting down the seam, and then got a little surprise burst. Gets away from it. We saw him get vertical over and over and over again. Now we talk about people with the big body tight ends, the guys that can expand the strike zone, that can catch the alley-oop on the lob. Dolce, UCLA, the Bruin is the guy who has a chance.
And there he is live on the field. Lance?
First of all, mustache game, right where you want it to be. 17.6 yards per catch. So we're talking about a tight end. It is a serious field stretcher. It showed up on tape. I mean, you could see it all there. He's going to probably run into 4.5s. He's going to test great. You're right, Money. Right there, adjusting the route, and then you see the slew-footed tiptoe runner. You don't think anything of it, and all of a sudden he's gone. And I think in today's NFL, there's going to be certain offenses, and, you know, Kyle Shanahan, that whole West Coast, the whole that's gone to Kyle Shanahan and to Matt LaFleur. That offense loves tight ends that can block and get vertical. Now, he's not a really good blocker now, but he tries hard. And you show me a guy with some effort and some size, which he definitely has. He's impressive looking. I'll show you a guy who can become an NFL blocker with time, as long as they're willing to. And he's definitely willing to. You can see it on tape.
Maybe it's a UCLA thing because, man, there has never been a more duck-footed dude than Raheem Moore. That dude was at like 9-3 when he was out there on the field. So let's get back to your number one guy.
You're a different kind of guy. That's what
listen, you know, you notice things, and maybe that's what happened against Baltimore in the championship game, you know, back in the day. I feel bad doing that. I should have done that to Raheem. Such a wonderful person. And his mom, LaWanda, a sweetheart of a person. Let's get to your number one guy, Weidermeyer.
Look, Weidermeyer, I think this guy is intriguing because of his size and his natural athleticism. Does a really good job of getting down the seam. He can catch balls. He can do all that stuff that you want to see. A bit of a seam runner, as I like to say. But, man, if you want some more money to run a post corner, this is your dude. This dude can run a post corner. It's a little lazy corner, but they run it over and over again when you look at the tape at Texas A&M.
Over and over and over.
Hey, that's how you get great at it.
He caught touchdowns. All the touchdowns are on the same route, and he's good at it. He understands how to do it. I tell you what, the buzz out here is he's not going to run very well. But here's the thing. When you watch tape, sometimes you say, this guy doesn't look like he can run. And then other times you watch and you say, no, wait a minute. Maybe he can run a little bit. And especially on those corner routes that you talk about, it looks like he can run. So, field speed and then real field speed, play speed, two different things. So right. This is kind of an important day for him, I think.
Well, they're going to get it going here in just minutes. The fans are still streaming in. It is awfully excited inside here at Lucas Oil Stadium. You see it. It's going to be on NFL Network. We're getting started in just minutes. 4 to 11 p.m. The NFL Scouting Combine is now in prime time, and here you get a look at them. Live shot. They are still filling in about 4 or 5 different sections here in the field level. Hello, sir. When we return, we're doing heat index, kind of like some of the freakiest athletes out there that we're going to see over these next 4 days. So we're going to dip into those next on NFL Scouting Combine today.
It's sack time. Pressure coming. He fumbles a football. Jabo caused the fumble. He's jacked down from behind. Sack time, David Ojabo. Hey, baby. Big play by the Wolverines. That's David Ojabo. Michigan defense led by number 97, Aidan Hutchinson.
Can I pick it? Yes, you can. He can throw it, but he can run that bad boy too.
And it's broken up by the outstanding safety, Kyle Hamilton, deeper into the bag of tricks.
Jameson Williams, goodbye.
For the end zone and wide open, Jameson Williams. He's going to get sacks. He's going to get strips.
Orton with a great play. Wow, Thibodeau read that perfectly.
Remember, it is not just tonight, but it is a 4-day affair. So we are focusing on the whole NFL Scouting Combine with this segment, the Heat Index. I'll tell you what was high on the Heat Index. My hotel room, unseasonably warm in Indianapolis, and there's no AC right now. It's like 76 in the middle of the night when I woke up. I couldn't go back to bed. That's neither here nor there. Let's get started with the Heat Index and some players that are going to put up some fire when they hit the field and go through these drills, Lance and Bucky. Lance, why don't you get us started with Michigan's David Ojabo?
Ojabo's going to test great. He's going to be a big tester. All the Michigan guys are going to test really, really well. They got a really good strength coach out there. They got a great program. But Ajabo's a guy who is going to run fast. His short area, short shuttle, and all the change of direction drills are going to be great. But he's four flames for me. I'm giving him 4 fire emojis. And he's a guy who has really terrific rush skills for a guy who's so raw in the game. He told me he got these by mimicking what he saw from Josh Uche, watching Frank Clark on tape, and watching Kwity Paye. He just mimicked what they did, and his rush game is it's bolstered by the athleticism. And today you're going to see the athleticism on full display.
And the edges are going to be on Saturdays, so you're going to want to check in with us. We're going to do the pre-show as well before we get into that group. I'll be happy to do the fire sound effects if you want me to. We're going to just cruise right up to 65 here and go to West Lafayette and Purdue University. You get David Bell. How many fires?
Look, I'm going to give him four emojis. Now,
here we go.
I don't know if he's going to test
we got
to the
fire sound
level
effects.
that I like, but I think he's going to be a star in the National Football League because he's an outstanding playmaker. This guy is productive. He's a terrific route runner. Kind of reminds me a little bit of when I watched Devontae Adams coming out of Fresno State. Now, who knows if he'll come and end up being an all-pro player that ends up in the conversation, one of the best wide receivers in football, but I believe this guy can be a #1 receiver in the National Football League because he does it all. He does it all really well.
Well, since we already got fire sound effects, I guess I'm not needed in these parts. Fine, be that way, production people. All right, We got Ojabo, we got Bell. We now shift outside of the Big Ten, and we go to the SEC and Treylon Burks.
Yeah, Treylon Burks. I'm going to go Trent McDuffie.
I'm sorry, Trent McDuffie.
Yeah. I could go either direction.
No, Pac-12. We need all the attention we can get.
Chris Peterson cornerbacks are very, very similar year in and year out. But the thing I really like about McDuffie is he is a route blanket underneath. He can play close man-to-man. As you see right there, physical on the chop. He can play man. He can play zone. He is extremely twitchy. He's extremely physical when he competes for the football, and he will get downhill and hit you. There's really
4.5 fires.
4.5. Make the sound.
Could he be the number one? Could he be the number one corner?
No, he won't be the number 1 corner. I don't think he'll be the number 1 corner. Could he play like it? Yeah, absolutely. He's the best cornerback to come out of the Chris Peterson era, Washington DB, and he had some really, really good ones. Ooh. I think this guy's going to be the best corner to come out of there. All
right.
Better than Marcus.
I jumped the gun. You know what happened? I saw Trent McDuffie, and then I started thinking Trip McNeely, and then I started thinking, anyway, neither here. Again, aside from me, you get Treylon Burks. What do you think?
I'm worried.
Why are you worried?
I'm worried.
Why are you worried?
I'm worried how he's going to test and how he's going to run.
Why is that?
I'm worried about Treylon Burks being a guy like
2.5.
Oh, no.
So I'm only going to give him 2.5 stars because I'm worried about his speed. I'm worried about his testing ability. Look, Alshon Jeffrey had a great NFL career, and maybe Treylon Burks will have one too.
I heard him say A.J. Brown, and you're telling me Alshon Jeffrey, not that he had a good career?
He's fine.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I saw him say he wants to be like Debo.
Look, I want to be a lot the Christmas tree.
Okay.
You know?
I remember, unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of things that I wanted. All right, let's get back right up I-65 to Purdue University, West Lafayette, and Yorgos Karlaftis.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give him 2 flame emojis. I think he's riding kind of high. He's a good football player. I think he's going to jump high today. I'm not sure the change of direction is going to be great.
Well, not today, Saturday.
Saturday, I should say, yeah. I'm not sure that he's going to have that same juice. You know what was interesting with Karlaftis is that I didn't see the run defender that I was expecting to see, but what I saw was a really tough pass rush.
Look at that.
Like
that's fire right there. Look at that. That's fire. Oh, Karlaftis, get him.
Get it? That's a secondary rush. That's a secondary rush.
That's the birthplace of democracy. Greece that you're disrespecting.
No offense. Just because he suplexed them that he doesn't get more than 2. He's 2 fire emojis, and that's what he gets.
No, I'd be that way.
Lance doesn't like guys that are nasty and play hard.
Exactly. Nothing but a bunch of flash. Guys that get dirty. Throw people around like they do in West Lafayette.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. How about Jermaine Johnson?
Oh, love him.
Yeah.
4.5.
4.5.
4.5. Yes. And if I could give him more, I would give him more. But I wanted to be nice today. I didn't want to be a homer because Jermaine Johnson dominates off the edge. Physical, aggressive.
Give him 5.
Has the ability to rush the passer. He has a bag full of tricks when he's coming off the edge. He'll go in there. He'll dig in the bag and he'll pull them out. Best pass rusher in the Senior Bowl. Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. 12 sacks. And to think, I don't know, Kirby Smart, but I don't know. It seems like you've been able to find a way to get him on the field. He had to go to Florida State so he could get some run. But, man, in the 1 year for the Seminoles, he dominated. That's exactly what you want to see.
You sure you don't want to give Karlaftis an extra half lane?
Come on, give it like
an extra half.
Look, go back, redo the graphics. Give him 2.5 flames. We're not going any higher than 2.5
Get our man
flames.
an extra half. I mean, we're in the Hoosier State, for goodness sake. We're back home again in Indiana. Here we go. We're getting ready. We are just minutes away from the start of the NFL Scouting Combine here in 2022. It's going to be on NFL Network. DJ Rich Eisen going to have it going. The tight ends are getting ready to roll. We've got a packed house with fans. They're just on the other side of the camera. It's so great to have people back. It's so great for us to be back. And we're going to put a wrap on this thing next. It's NFL Combine Today. Well, we're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Thursday, the beginning today of the NFL Scouting Combine, 4 to 11 p.m. Tight ends, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Tomorrow, going to be offensive line and running back. So before we get to the drills and hand it over to DJ and Rich Eisen and everyone else that's going to be on the field covering all this, let's get one more thing in, Bucky, and that is who's going to make some money. Who's going to make some money here tonight?
Man, I like that because this is the dash for the cash. So I'm going to go with Desmond Ritter from Cincinnati. And the reason he's going to make some money is because he's a much better athlete than people are going to expect. And I expect him to throw the ball really, really well. When you combine those attributes with the fact that he won a ton of games in Cincinnati, I think people are going to look at the combine performance, go back and look at the tape, and they can be excited. The other guy?
Oh, double up.
Wide receiver Phillips from UCLA. This guy was he was the boogeyman at the East-West Shrine game. People couldn't stop him. Watch out. Guy is very athletic. He's going to run faster than most people expect.
He's also a great punt returner, by the way. I'm going to go with Desmond Ritter's teammate, Alec Pierce. He's going to make money today. He's going to run well, jump well. I think he's going to look good in the drills. I think Alec Pierce is a guy who's built for the combine. And
Give me a comp on him.
He's a big physical guy. You know what? I can't remember who my comp was on him.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's an easy one, Ed McCaffrey. But the guy that I want to also hit on is somebody you hit on earlier, Dolce. I think we all know he's going to run well, and he's going to make money.
All right. Well, we got tight ends, we got wide receivers, we got quarterbacks. It is a lot of sizzle out on that field tonight. Tight end's going to get us started. And remember, tomorrow we're going to be back exact same time, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be offensive line and running backs. Heck of a group, especially that offensive line, Buck. We only got about 20 seconds left, but, man, that very well could dominate the top 10.
Oh, it could dominate the top 10. Those offensive tackles are real. I can't wait to see them work out.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to hand it over to Rich and DJ now. And all these fans that were able to pile into Lucas Oil Stadium going to get started with the tight end group. Cannot wait to watch for the next, 7 hours or so of NFL Scouting Combine footage. Thanks so much for checking in today. We'll be back tomorrow at the exact same time on NFL Scouting Combine Today.